So when buying a TV, there are a lot of different things to factor. I covered some of the top TVs of 2019 so far, but for many people, these are not the TVs to buy. When talking to people, what I found out is that the maximum dollar amount they're willing to spend on a TV is around $1,000. And today we're checking out Vizio's latest offering for their TV. It has some high-end specs, but yet doesn't have a high-end price. Where's the compromises and how was this even possible? The price of the TV will be linked down below, and I did find that this price has been shifting a little bit, but it's well under $1,000. This is the Vizio M7 Quantum review. Let's start off with design. It's a very minimal design. It has small bezels, thin legs for the stand, and it's matte black. There isn't anything unique, and that's not really a bad or a good thing. It's just there. There's also a visible logo on the bottom right of the TV, and that's in white. It sort of grabs your attention because that's the only white element on the TV. On the back, there are 4 HDMI 2.0 ports, 1 composite input, 1 USB, RF antenna tuner, Ethernet port, optical digital, and stereo. Something to note is that a lot of high-end TVs now are giving you 2.1 HDMI. For many people, this really wouldn't factor in, but if you're a gamer, that is something you may need to consider. HDMI 2.1 is just better for gaming, higher refresh rates, better bandwidth when you're gonna have the higher resolution systems, and also things like auto game mode. If you're not gaming, this is something you won't miss and you can just disregard that. Vizio's OS is called SmartCast 3.0. It's their newest OS. It's a huge improvement over the older system, although it's still not fluid from what we're seeing with TCL, Samsung, and LG. But it's still miles better than the older system that we just saw last year. There's definitely some room for improvement still, as apps take a little bit longer to launch and the app library isn't as deep as some of the competitors, and there's also not an app store. So you're pretty much stuck with the apps that are on the TV. Now, a firmware update can push out new apps to the device, but at the same time, I would like to be able to go into a store and browse for additional apps. The SmartCast 3.0 also gives you a library of movies and TV shows, and you can search through this little interface right here. If you find something you like, you can click on it, and then it tells you where it's at depending on the app. So let's say I want to watch The Office, click on The Office, and then it can say I can watch it from Netflix or I can buy it from Vudu or anything like that. This is something we're seeing with a lot of other OSs, but it is here on the SmartCast as well. Now, one update Vizio added to SmartCast 3.0 is the ability to do AirPlay 2. So if you have an Apple product, you can mirror your screen right to the TV easily just by pressing a few buttons, or you can even cast over a video. So let's say you have something, you downloaded a movie, you downloaded on iTunes. So I downloaded Mad Max, and now on my iPhone, I can then push it right to the TV, and it actually sends the video to the TV, so I still have access to my phone. It's not mirroring, and it plays in its full 4K resolution. Also, there is Google Cast too, so if you have the Android product or you're using Chrome, you can then push content to the TV as well. And that right there is one of the biggest improvements of the OS. Let's talk about the remote. The remote is extremely basic. If you've used any Vizio product, oh man, last 3 years or so, then this remote will look exactly what you've seen before. It has dedicated buttons at the very bottom for streaming apps, and that's really it. The buttons are a little clunky. They don't feel really nice. There's not anything extra, no scroll wheels, no voice input, no voice assistant, no microphone, none of that stuff. It's not on the remote at all. It's just extremely basic. What Vizio does include though is a really nice remote app that works on the phone. Not really going to dive into it too much, but on the phone you can access all of the features that you can on the normal remote, and also has the ability to input text. So if you have a text box, you could type on your phone and it goes right into the app, which makes things a lot easier to use. So now that we got through all that, let's talk about what's very important, and that's going to be picture quality. The picture quality on this TV is really good. This TV has fantastic local dimming, so the blacks are very dark and the light areas appear to be very bright. It has a full array backlight, and that's sort of a higher end feature that you find on more expensive TVs. So this TV does have HDR, but in my opinion, the HDR doesn't differentiate itself well enough compared to other bright elements on the TV TV, so you're not getting that HDR punch that you see with other TVs. Viewing angles are also poor. You lose colors and contrast and brightness when you're not looking at the TV head on. But where this TV shines is black uniformity, meaning the blacks are very dark. It doesn't have any blooming, and so dark elements in movies or video games look really good. Also, it does a great job with screen reflections from lights and windows. It's not perfect, but it's still a lot better than other TVs. Now, test this TV out. I've tried a mixture between 1080p content and also 4K content, and I feel that it handled both pretty well. The colors are bright and vivid, and the image is very sharp. There's a little bit of color fall off, but it's not that bad. It's actually very passable. It also handles motion very well, so if you're watching anything like sports or even a movie like I mentioned before, Mad Max, you can see that the motion looks really good without a ton of blur or ghosting. Now obviously you can go into settings and you could change the color profile, and you can find a profile that looks pretty good. So I wouldn't say that the color is bad on this TV at all. I just think out of the box it might be a little bit too vivid for my liking. Now speaking of motion, this TV does handle gaming extremely well. There's very low input lag, so playing Rocket League the moves were spot on. Playing PES 2019 the movements felt very realistic on the pitch, and I felt like I was in control at all times. Overall, for this price, this TV gives you some really good specs, and they give you the specs that are really important to most viewers. It doesn't have the best HDR, doesn't have the best design, but when you're sub $1,000, there is going to be some compromises, and I think Vizio struck that balance properly. So until I see other TVs that are going to come out holiday season at this price point, this might be the best TV at this price point for most people. But only time will tell as we're ramping up for holiday season. Anyways, guys, the link is down below to check it out if you want to pick one up for yourself. And also, have yourself a great day. Kevin the Tech Ninja, and take care.